All right, welcome back to Greenbox Gaming plays Delta Green Possible Landscapes. You are joining us as Dace is experimenting with real-life filters on his computer. Why do you have stained glass just sitting there?
That's a fantastic question, and thank you for asking.
He's just been doing this until someone asked that question. Please, someone ask me about my stained glass.
I'm bringing my fucking sock puppets next time.
Just like some other hobby. Everyone brings a piece of some weird hobby they had at some point in time.
Just wait until I start writing my novel or waving my novel around the camera. What's this, guys?
Ooh.
You want to ask me some questions about this?
Who wants to talk about this?
I got this whole jar of oats. Nobody asked me about my oats.
Damn it, John. How about them oats?
Nah, there's nothing special about these oats. I actually want to hear about the stained glass stuff, if you've got more to say.
Are the oats your temporary camera stand?
Mic stand.
Yes.
I thought that was a jar of pure silver.
It's just oats.
I think we should go around the horn and guess how many oats are in the jar, and then the person that gets the closest.
Well, and then Jean can count them.
Damn, that's a big jar.
Yeah.
The rest of us play.
You need to calm down with that jar, man.
I'm joined by my friends, Jean, playing Benedict with this giant jar of oats.
Yes, I'm the oats man. Welcome.
He's joining us from Dubai this time because he is, I guess, just a man about the world, high roller, which is why he's such a high roller that he's transcended an actual mic stand and is just does whatever the hell he wants.
None of this resonates with me. On to the next one.
on the graph of like shit that John has used for mic stands, which is higher on the graph, a jar of oats or a Lego, an entire Lego
what is
toy?
high? Is it high? Is the weirder?
What's the X and Y axis?
Yeah, like we got to define this graph.
I think Y would be weirder, and X would be maybe functional.
Ooh, that's a good one. This one is low on weird, not too low, but it's quite functional.
What if I filled it with
jar
eyeballs?
of oats? It's like long.
That's a big
Yeah,
jar.
it's a weird long jar.
And we're taking his word for it. That's oats.
It's oats and not eyeballs.
And not eyeballs.
Yeah.
I'm joined by Dace playing Benji.
Ayo.
I'm joined by Brad playing Hank.
Hello.
Filter.
That filter we just can't even see anything on that one, on that piece of stained glass.
It's a shame. That's a really cool piece of glass.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like
That's one for the audio
seaweed.
That is it does.
Yeah, it just looks like you're holding up a big
It's like
piece
Nori.
of weird.
Reflective seaweed.
So like on that note of like, you know, like doing stained glass and stuff like that, like do you guys have any like niche like skills or hobbies that you wish you would have given some time to? Like we all have our individual stuff, but what about something that you always would wish that you would have gone back and done?
Man, that's a great question. Let's talk about regrets.
That'll talk about regret, everyone.
Way to...
Well,
there's mood.
We're in our 30s. There's still time, guys. We could use this as a session to say, this is what we want to do. For me, and it's still possible, I still have hope. We're just on the phone with our French friend, me and my girlfriend, and still want to learn French. Or get better at it, rather.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, languages are good. I learned just enough Russian and German to basically find a U.S. embassy, and that was it.
I was like, when we went, I was like, had trouble with the train system in Paris, so I was gonna, attempt to speak in French in hopes that they would eventually be like, oh, he's trying. Here's the nope.
In one of the biggest tourist cities in the world.
But it wasn't. No, it was like I came up to like
makes them hate you more.
It wasn't just like a random person. I came up to like the people that were working there. Yeah. But no.
They're just like, shut your mouth, you fucking hillbilly.
Basically.
You get my language out of your mouth. What about you, Jean? What's your big like? Well, like I know these two guys. Have you ever done music? Jean, or anything like that? Like,
Yeah.
Do you have any of those?
Oh yeah, we jammed with Jean before.
Yeah.
Guitarist.
He's a really good guitarist.
Oh, that's very generous. I wish I did more guitar so that I could actually, live up to that comment.
Well, I mean, is there? But like, I don't know, like other languages or like other kind of like you wish you would have gone bungee jumping more than you already have.
I wish I flew in another life. I would have flown aircraft. So
Ooh,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
that'd be good.
did a couple of those, but not enough.
I think like
Well, just a couple.
you can, there's tons of you.
I landed, and I walked
You
away
did?
from the landing, and that's a good.
That's the
landing.
hard part.
Yeah. Walking away from the fireball. Yeah.
With my cool guy shades.
Yeah.
What about you, Dace? What's your? What if you could spend some time to just do a hobby of old or like a skill of old?
Those are two good ones, and I also agree with those: language and flying, but also dancing. I wish I were better at dancing. Like, I wish I could just walk into any club or like.
He's doing the robot right now.
He's doing the robot. This is his dance.
He wants to learn to dance, and he's doing the robot.
Is it any better? Has it evened out yet?
It'll buff out.
Check.
Yeah, it'll maybe get there.
There we go.
Yes.
We got you. You're
Okay.
right.
Fixed. That was excellent. by the way.
Yeah.
Robot.
Yeah, I don't think you need to change it. Oh, you need another.
No regrets.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem, Brad. That's the only dance move I can do, and
It's the robot.
It's a really niche dance move. You can't just whip it out anywhere, you know.
Well, yeah, if you do, it has to be pretty short amount of robot, right? Like you can't,
Nobody wants to watch the robot for more than 15 seconds, man.
you can't lean into it.
Like he's seriously glitching. We can't understand him.
Oh man, I don't know. Like I don't know what I would have done. Like something I tried to learn to. I did like a little bit of violin, like just for a little bit.
Oh, you're
I
not
haven't
still
played
doing
for
that?
Ages.
No.
I haven't been steadily doing it for like. I mean, I really haven't played much. Probably just like a handful of times over the last year. I still can't barely read music for shit.
Oh, you don't need to do that.
No,
I feel like
there's.
I feel like reading. There's too much emphasis. Like all the, me and Dace, we're in band and educated in music, and I think there's way too much emphasis on reading music. Like that is very important if you want to have a group of people come sit down and perform that piece of music right away. But if your goal is to be collaborative and actually make music with other people, you never use that skill.
Yeah.
Like being able to
Agreed.
play by ear, or to be, or even to kind of develop like the ability to be spontaneous. What
Right.
do you think is more important?
Expressive, yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you want to do. If your goal is to be a session violinist, then yeah, that is extremely important to just sit down and be able to read that music with a group of people. But just depends on what your goal is.
Dude, my dad's never never played an instrument, never did anything, and then he worked for all those years, and then he retired and left Mississippi like the day his retirement was done. He left Mississippi, he was done with the South, moved all the way to Wyoming, like middle of nowhere, like just
cold,
this little tiny town in Wyoming, and then it was funny, and then he almost immediately started playing the banjo. Like he just picked up a banjo.
Oh, wow.
And so he became the most
leaving.
southern southerner he could. Just
That's awesome.
Picking and grinning. And he doesn't to that end. I mean, he doesn't know anything about music. He just plays his own stuff and has made up his own songs, and it's pretty damn impressive.
That's awesome.
I love that.
He just picked one up, and he's like, should this thing have a back on it? I don't know. Just
I mean,
that's
that's
old janky banjo that was missing parts.
that's how the old blues players did it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Like, there's one, I forget his name, but he couldn't use two of his fingers, I think, so he started using a butter knife as a slide, and that became
What?
his signature sound. Yeah, I wish I could remember his name. He's a famous bluesman. I'm doing Benji a disservice here.
Yeah, man. Yeah. If I could go back, if there was any weird instrument I learned to play, it'd be like a hurdy-gurdy or something. Just like it has a really cool sound.
I want to play with a theremin. I wish I encounter a theremin in my life.
Is that's the it's like the sit down like yeah.
Sounds like a cat moaning, but more elegant.
it's like that, but good. All right. Well, speaking of cats, you guys have recently, in our game of Impossible Landscapes,
wait,
come across
you can't just
a
act
feline.
like it works.
No, you did literally come across a feline in the last episode.
Oh yeah, we did.
Don't you shit
I'll
on
allow it.
on my
You're
shit
absolved.
into the episode. This ain't easy, man. Like, I'm doing my best.
Speaking of dinosaurs, last time
the last two episodes. Let's go back farther than that. The team, having started all the way back in 1995, to investigate the disappearance and the strained occultic nature, possibly, of the disappearance of Abigail Wright. You guys eventually determined that there was this strange force, this strange play at present, the King in Yellow, and decided that the best way to deal with that was to burn that building down. After sending 3 people off to an uncertain end with Delta Green and shoving the rest of the apartment building into the strange, otherworldly, dead zone.
No regrets.
The night floors. No regrets. It's important to live with no regrets. You were then called back into service by Dr. Barbas. Now, it turned out, eventually, that Dr. Barbas was not actually working for Delta Green. That he himself was actually an agent of the King in Yellow, working without really knowing it. You guys followed down a bunch of leads. Got your old handler back in the swing of things. Made some great new friends in Axel. Went to Vegas. And eventually came back. Last 2 episodes, you guys found yourself in the Dorchester. In the Dorchester with a conflicting set of memories. One, which you're being told repeatedly, was a delusion. That you guys were Delta Green agents. A conspiracy, an organization intended to protect humanity from the unworldly. But, again, that's a delusion. You guys are actually patients in the Dorchester facility. You guys are, and you've been here for a long time. Some of you a little longer than others, but most of you back past 1995 when each of you had mental breaks. Last episode, you guys had kind of come to terms with this. You met Asa Darabandi, of all people, who was taken away to have the Patsu removed, as one does. And then you met some other people. You met Leland. Leland, who is someone that you guys have, of course, known for a long time. He's always been a patient here with you. And you also met Sunshine. Sunshine, this catatonic, unresponsive kind of figure in a wheelchair. You guys observed Dr. Maximo Friend, your psychiatrist. You observed him placing these weird red glass these glass containers filled with like a red brownish fluid in a kind of pneumatic, like a pneumatic tube system in the wall of the building after having removed it from Asa. You then saw a kind of a figment of the past, future? Henry Lundeen, the former owner of the McAllister building, someone that you guys had known of, as I think the first time you were introduced to it was that he was the owner of Abraham the dog that you met back in the night floors. Well, if the night floors happened. Obviously that didn't happen. You've been in the Dorchester this entire time. And you chased him through a door, and apparently, and I think it was something that Brad pointed out, and Brad, don't you dare say I didn't give you props for the thing you said, you son of a bitch.
And he got juice. He got
juice for it.
Juice.
Yeah, juice.
The lore.
The idea of, did we cause Henry Lundeen to run through that door and bump into Abigail Wright? Did we cause that? Was that us? You were then kind of distracted by this cat, who was a part of my flawless and completely smooth transition into the recap. This cat, who you know, belongs to Mr. Wild. Mr. Wild is kind of this scarred and a deformed kind of man who is this enigmatic figure who has some, unlike everybody else here, has some awareness, not of just your past lives, but of the fact that you don't belong here. Wants to know what you're really here doing. He told you a little story last time. A story about twin black suns and planets that are descending ever closer and are being threatened with being consumed entirely. And that the only way to escape the gravitational pull, the otherworldly forces that pull you ever deeper toward Carcosa, that you must come close enough to gather velocity and rocket out the other side. And the last thing that happened is that Ed, Mr. Ed, as you guys call him, the head nurse here, kind of walked out and told you guys, it's time for group therapy time.
This.
Everybody loves a little group therapy, right? So.
No.
So, so we'll say that there's you guys have a few minutes here just to talk amongst yourself or to talk to Mr. Wild before you transition into group therapy. What is going on?
It did take...
And keep in mind, too, Mr. Wild did tell you that he wanted to swap something. He wanted to know. He wanted to swap information with you. He has this notebook that he seems to be... I think it was Benedict said, I don't think you know things. I think you just have a really smart notebook.
Did we make a deal with him yet?
He had attempted to make some deal. He wanted information from you. He wanted to know your story.
Okay. It did take a lot of willpower in real life for me not to Google Pat Sue.
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. I think if you do that, you're only gonna find impossible landscape stuff. Don't know for certain, but that was a good application of your willpower. But yeah, I don't know. Like, do you guys want to take a moment to talk amongst each other, or to talk to Mr. Wild, or just go on and head to the cotton candy?
Well,
let's take a beat.
I don't mind telling him. I mean, it seems like pretty worthless. I'll tell him a story for information.
I don't mind if you tell him a story either.
Okay.
So are you going to...
Oh, what are the terms? What's he going to give you for sharing your story?
Good question.
Yeah, what did we want information about? Probably how to get out of here. But if he knew that, maybe he'd be trying to get out too.
I don't think he wants to get out, but it's a good question.
Oh. What's his name? Sorry.
Mr. Wild.
Mr. Wild.
Mr. Wild. Remind me again, what kind of information could you possibly have that would be of benefit to someone like the three of us?
I have a little bit of everything here in my little book, but I have an inclination, call it a gut feeling, that your interest lies outside of our humble walls. And again, gentlemen, the only way out is through, isn't it? As he says this, you guys do remember a bit of a interaction you had with Sunshine. Not
Sunshine, yeah.
Not too long ago. Sunshine, the information that Sunshine had been tried to speak in his broken Tartesian and written with a crayon with Benji. That's something that sounded very similar to Get Out. It was his Tartesian was on, and and Benji's, his conversational Tartesian isn't that good, and it's okay. It's like that idea of to get out, how to get out, and then he wrote down, the only way out is through.
So, Mr. Wild, how are we going to organize this so that we both ensure that we get our part of the deal and you get your part of the deal?
I can do this for you, gentlemen. I will. Let's walk with me. Let's go to group. And he stands up with some effort. You can tell that the right side of his body appears to be a little weaker than the left side. He struggles to his feet, especially hard because Benji's sitting on his knee.
I forgot about that.
Let me just, okay, I'll get off.
Alley-oop.
Yeah. I will be honest with you, gentlemen. I perhaps am not the exact one who knows the way, but I do know the one who does know. Perhaps I could arrange an introduction.
And
I think
in exchange, you just want our stories? Is that how this works?
I am... Benjamin Potts, if I didn't like your vibe so much, I might not tell you this, but, I like you.
You mean like?
Well, what? Well, not no. But not yes. It's early on.
I was just saying, I ain't above trading sexual favors if you're gonna tell us how to get the car.
All right, that went somewhere I was not expecting. That's usually the prosthetic ear is anyway. Anyway, I think you discount the value of your story and the kind of meta narrative here, if you will, that it fits into. It will become clear in time.
Well, then I think we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more for it, and
you
we need it.
You want more than being given the only way out of here?
You said it, not me. Ours is more valuable than yours, and we need to negotiate properly.
All of a sudden, this turns into an episode of Pawn Stars.
I hear you.
I have a guy.
I'd love to let this story go for one measly introduction, but I have my friend here who's an expert on meta-narrative stories, and he says it's worth significantly more than this. You understand our position.
So then I walk into the room and I, with the Impossible Landscapes book in my hand, I said, "Let me take a look at this."
My
Persuade.
friend Joe Box here.
Roll a persuade.
Give me a persuade. Let's
Am I the one doing this?
I would say that Benedict is the one pushing it.
And do I get any bonuses? How about some kind of?
How about get Benji to give me a charisma roll, see if he can assist you. And if Benji gets
with his Pawn
Benji
Star
passes
reference.
this roll with his Pawn Star reference. If he can pass the roll, you can have a bonus. You can have a 20% bonus for having your friends help you. That's not necessarily how Delta Green works, but it's not how it works. Tell me what you get there.
I definitely had roll 20 pulled up, and I was logged into it and everything.
You were ready to go at the beginning of our episode, naturally. We've only been... Oh my god, I totally forgot. I forgot to mention. I touched on it in one of our last episodes, our last session, guys, we are officially 1 year old.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Greenbox
Wah,
Gaming. I don't like where that went.
Let's go.
I was thinking maybe we might sing Happy Birthday or something, but that just. Wait a second. Are you wearing an adult diaper? wait. I feel like we're just a part of your thing now.
Just for this episode.
I'm not delving further into this. I'm just gonna give you that charisma roll.
Just give me a damn charisma check.
At -20 after that.
What'd you get?
Success 32 under 75.
All right. Well, and he already said he already said he likes Benji. You know, he already said he likes Benji.
With
Likes,
that plus
likes.
20, I tried to persuade and I failed. 84 over 80.
Damn, John, you're like the most.
That's so unlucky.
Damn this
That's so unlucky.
charisma-based character.
It's so bad at this.
Charisma-based build.
he looks you up and down. He's like, I don't know about that. Maybe. This might be a conversation better had with. And
Some
you guys
tea.
are like are reaching the door. You know what happens every time you mention tea. You better chill out, my guy.
Did you just say the T word?
Say the T word.
As you
I didn't
guys
say the B word.
As you guys are getting towards the door, and again, it's not like a normal door in a door frame, like in a building. It is like a big metal hatch that that locks in place. You get to the door, and it's standing open, and Mr. Ed is standing there, arms closed. By the way, Mr. Ed, again, he's a massive guy. You guys have seen this picture. On his kind of belt is hanging what looks like a baseball bat that's been cut down really short into like a kind of truncheon. And he's a no fucking around kind of guy. And as you guys get there, he says, "This seems like a better conversation to have with, with the man in charge." And you guys go into the room. And of course, you guys have been here loads of time. This is the cotton candy room, everybody. It's the group room. You know that. All around in this room, it's big and square, and there is the walls and the ceilings are painted with this kind of disorientingly like bright pink. All around in a big circle are a set of folding chairs. Each one of them kind of that weird gray-green color, like they're kind of dingy and and they've been obviously worn a great deal. Dr. Friend is already sitting there, and he's sitting there with his legs crossed and a little notepad in his hand. He says, and as everyone comes in, he says everyone by name. It's Benjamin and Benedict. Thank you for coming. Hank, good. Have a seat. Find your seats. And the fluorescent lights in the room are kind of flashing, like flickering. Like the bulbs are kind of getting worn out. And of course, you guys get in here, and a few other people walk in. Leland is here. Mr. Wild himself sits down, kind of slumps in a chair. Leland's here. Someone actually pushes sunshine into. Even Asa shows up. It's not long before you see again like a Rudolph Valader, someone that you guys had seen in the past in 1995. Roland. Also, there's a young woman. There's a young woman comes in. There's like a few women come in as well.
Do we recognize any of them?
No, not well. Actually, I say that you don't recognize them. One of them you do. One of them you actually do. But you only recognize them actually from something quite recently. It was something that I don't know if I ever got back around to.
Is that Miss Vors?
No, it's not Miss Vors, actually.
Because I think she's the only one we haven't beaten up yet.
Where did you first hear?
I was about to say all these women have to be enemies or something.
Where was it you heard about Miss Vors? Was that in the purse that you found in the mirror, floating?
No, it was before that.
No.
I think it was.
Rekia Vors.
Wasn't it? It was getting back into the hospital, or after talking to...
We found out about her before we went to Samahina's apartment.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay.
Possibly.
I can't recall.
Yeah.
It's on the board.
She's on the board. We know that. No, you actually see a different woman, and you recognize her from the ID from the clutch that you recovered from inside the mirror when Benedict had stuck his head through into the vast underwater space. It is Deborah Carver. I'm actually gonna drop you a picture of her as soon as. Does anyone actually like? I'm on a Windows machine and I always have that Windows news thing pop up in the corner without my consent. That's very, very helpful every time. Yeah, so let me drop Deborah Carver in here. There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
So
She at the top left.
let's see.
Is it the
Yes,
left?
she is.
Yes. Yeah.
What a
Bring her over to
babe.
the...
Yeah.
I'll bring her over to the right-hand side.
You move her wherever you need her to be.
Cool.
Yeah, you see.
I like her hairdo.
She sits there and she sits down, kind of crosses her arms. She, you know, if any of you look at her, she gives you like a little smile. You know, it's, of course, you know her. You know Deborah to be some kind of addict. You think? Yeah, of course, you know you've been here ages, so of course you know that. Anyway, after a while, you know, there is a point in which most of the orderlies leave, because there is a big bunch of them who are in here, and all but probably Ed and 3 of them. I mean, so there's still several of them in here. They kind of find their way to kind of like each corner of the room and just kind of stand there, arms crossed or leaned back, and just kind of watching what's happening, but kind of like, you know, outside the group. And this big steel door just cha-chung, like gets locked into place seemingly from the outside. And for a bit of an uncomfortable amount of time, it seems kind of quiet in here. And then Dr. Maximo Friend starts up and says, "All right, everyone, I would like to thank everybody for coming to group. I know that this is very important for your care, and I'm very glad, very optimistic for today, for the opportunity to just come together and to heal our hearts and our minds. Isn't that right? You know," and he turns to someone. "Isn't that right, Timothy?" You know, to Timothy Valader. Timothy's like, "Yeah, of course, Dr. and he almost says Dr. Dowling. He's like, Dr. Friend, of course, Dr. Friend."
No.
Yeah, he's very good, very good. So
Timothy
so
who?
Of course, you know.
Who's this Timothy?
Timothy Valader. This is someone who you guys had first run into in the night floors, alongside Ed Wist when you ran.
Oh, that pair. So he's okay. So obviously he's kind of in the same situation we are. For how long, we don't know. It would seem.
He's like, from his tattoos and some of like kind of how he has his like. So you think he might be like he's kind of got the feel of a, which is weird because in 1995 you probably wouldn't have been able to like kind of put your hand on it necessarily. He's got the feel of kind of like an Iraq vet, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of feels. Got like a military feel to him. Anyway, so Dr. Friend, he tells you, he's like, okay, so remember everybody, we are here to listen to each other and to be a part of each other's space, that we are responsible to each other for being open and kind. We will not tolerate any jeering or interruptions. Is that clear? Is everybody okay with this? Yes? Part of our agreement? As always? He looks...
That rhetorical.
He looks very hard at Benedict.
Can I say something, Doctor? May I interrupt?
Yeah, yes, Benedict. Let's keep it quick. We are.
I just wanted to apologize. I haven't seen you, and I feel like my behavior was not becoming of this place. And it's been on my mind, and I wanted to share that. And I wanted everybody to also hear how sorry I am.
Okay. Well, thank you, Benedict. That is very big of you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Well,
and I'm almost,
I'm glad.
I'm almost positive that he took all his medication this morning.
Yes.
All right. That is good. I'm glad we're keeping up with each other's intake of medication.
Yes,
that's good for support each other.
Thank you. As you were.
He kind of cast a bit of an eye towards Ed, who doesn't seem to really move much. He says, "All right, well, let us go around. Let's go around and let's just talk. I will, of course, this is an opportunity for us to share and just to help each other and have insights. He starts around certain. Are you guys all sitting together? I'd imagine you kind of
seems natural.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you guys are kind of going around the circle, and at first he's asking, it's like, how have you been feeling? Have you seen, have you been feeling, better, more depressed, or more anxious? He asks these of several people, he might, specifically when he gets to, so when he gets to Mr. Wilde, his questions are just like, with Mr. Wilde, are you well today? It's very vague, and Mr. Wilde's just like, yes, Maximo, just fine. And he gets to like Dorothy Yale, and he says, well, how, or sorry, Deborah Carver. He gets to Deborah Carver and asks, how are you doing? Are your, what is the intensity of, on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you say the intensities of your cravings were? And she's like, oh, Dr. Friend, it's a 0, I'd say. I feel completely cured. Your treatment has been of the utmost quality. He's like, okay, good. And it seems like it becomes very clear, and you, as it kind of gets around the circle, kind of getting close to you, you kind of feel like that people are kind of going out of their way to tell Dr. Friend what he wants to hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who's first in this lineup of you guys as he goes around the circle? Who do you think is first?
It's probably Benedict, I'd imagine.
You're right, it is Benedict. So he gets to you, Benedict, and he says, okay, Benedict, do you enjoy activities of your own choosing?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, the things that you enjoy doing, that you would, your hobbies, such as recreational flying, or stained glass making. Do you enjoy these things?
Well, not in here. I just haven't had the opportunity.
As he starts speaking to you and he's asking you questions, something odd begins to happen to you, Benedict. And the other two of you don't experience this. This is Benedict. Around kind of the edges of your vision, things start to kind of shimmer or shake. And you seem kind of transfixed on Dr. Friend. as he's sitting across from you, and his voice kind of begins to echo.
Can I do anything to break out of this? Can I, shake my head vigorously?
I think he's saying it's just us two. Or no, you said it. No, you said it's happening.
No, just
okay,
just Benedict.
It's just me.
At first it's just kind of hard to notice, and he goes on to continue to ask you. He says, "Benedict, do your past failures still worry you? Still concern you? Your regrets from the past?"
No, I have no regrets except for not flying enough.
Of course. There's a bit there where it becomes kind of hard to understand him. It's almost as if his language is becoming garbled. But then very quickly he kind of snaps his head next to Hank. And as soon as he does, it's like as soon as his gaze falls on Hank, it's like the world just kind of pops back into focus for him. He turns on to Hank. Okay, Hank. Would you describe a time in which you did not feel that the world was real?
Not in the slightest.
He makes some notes, and as he shifts his eyes up from his notebook, he tilts his head down, and then just his eyes come up. And as they do, Hank, you see that alongside each, on flanking the patients or the chairs that are next to Dr. Friend, they seem to fade away, and he's flanked by two massive marble columns. And
oh, jeez.
His little folding chair shifts. And you can't explain it. You can't explain how one becomes the other. But it shifts into like a large, ornate, beautiful... God, it's a throne. And he's sitting there, and you hear him, and this time as he speaks again, it echoes out, and you feel like you're in a much bigger space. Did you ever believe something or someone was something out to get you, Hank Ellis?
Dr. Maximal, I am not, if it's alright, I'm not feeling up to sharing right now.
And he smiles gently, and again, as soon as his eyes shift to Benji Potts, you're back here in this awful cotton candy colored room. Benji, he lingers looking at you quietly for an uncomfortable period of time.
Benji kind of looks nervously to his right and left, like, all right.
He takes a deep breath before he kind of winds up. And as soon as...
Dr. Friend. Sorry to interrupt.
His head snaps at Benedict. I mean, like, and it is... And all of the gentleness that was within him is gone. Benedict, we talked about interruptions. And again, Benedict, now Dr. Friend is high above you on this huge plinth sitting. He is covered in royal robes that drape over his body, down over the arms of the chair. And beside his throne is an even larger throne, a superhuman-sized throne. It's almost comically large. And he sits next to it with a golden scepter in his hand where his pen is in quote-unquote real life. And he regards you with an amount of authority, of power, that chills you to your very bone. If you would like to continue speaking, please roll me a power roll.
Oh, wow, interesting. Jeez. I was going to say that's predicting a sanity check, but a power roll.
Hardcore.
Way to change it up, Ox.
And he succeeds. Benedict succeeds.
What would you like to say to this And again, it's still Dr. Friend, but is he wearing a fucking crown? Like, what is that?
God.
Is like his crown and like the columns and everything, is there like a Roman flavor to them?
Not Roman. It seems like European, like European, like imagine like a cathedral, almost. Like European royalty, in that way.
Okay.
What do you say, Benedict? You're staring up, and you're looking up, and by the way, you're also not sitting in a chair. You're now on your knees.
He's stuttering a little bit. The force of the whatever is happening to him. He initially was just going to ask to go to the bathroom to try and, I don't know, save Benji from some impending mind-altering shenanigans. But now with this, I think he rapidly changes his mind, and he thinks back to Acer's reaction to something he said. And I think he's gonna try make the situation go nuclear. And Dr. Friend, there was just a question I had before I asked Acer where his bottle is, and I just wanted to find out where is everybody's bottle at present.
The other two of you watching this happen, again, you'd see nothing odd. Except that Benedict begins to babble incoherently. That, not completely incoherently, to those who can speak Tartesian.
Oh, wow.
So from our perspective, he's still like in his seat. He's not on his knees.
He's still on his seat talking to Dr. Friend.
But he's speaking.
But you hear him ask, you hear him talk. Benji, you didn't know Benedict knew Tartesian? Crazy.
What's he saying?
He's asking about the bottle. As he
does everybody else understand?
No, Hank does not. To Hank, it seems gobbledygook. There is, but sitting across from, Hank and Benji, you look around the room, and most people are just kind of like looking at the floor and seem to just kind of live kind of in their own world. But both Deborah Carver and Mr. Wilde are looking at Benedict with some intensity.
So I think Hank at this point would be concerned and kind of like pat him on the back and say, "You okay, Benedict?"
As you do this, Benedict, you find yourself suddenly sitting back in your chair.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, thank you for that. My question remains. Max. Dr. Friend. Max. Dr. Friend. And he looks at Dr. Friend with some kind of horrified awe. You're like staring at the edge of an abyss. The fear and apprehension at the same time.
Yes, you do look at him, and again, as you look at him, then Mr. Wilde and Deborah Carver's heads also turn to him, like, what's he gonna say? Like they seem very, and maybe even Mr. Wilde he was slouching back. He kind of leans forward on his good arm, kind of putting it on his knees, like eager for the answer.
And any reaction from Acer?
Acer doesn't seem to have understood the question.
But Wilde did.
And
that's
also
Deborah.
What's her name?
Damn.
Yes.
That's surprising that of all the shit Ace has been in, he doesn't know Tartesian.
Yeah. Maybe he's just a pawn.
Yeah, I thought he was the big bad, but okay.
They lean forward.
We're looking at the big bad.
Could be.
They both lean forward, and there is the Dr. Friend purses his lips, this kind of image of him being big and powerful and intimidating, it kind of melts away. And he seems meek. He seems embarrassed. He kind of fiddles with his pen, which just a moment ago was a grand scepter. And he looks back up to you, Benedict, says, "It's Benedict, I am a professional, but I do not have all of the answers. We are all looking for something, and it would be disingenuous for me to tell you that I knew the answers to such, shall we say, life-altering things. If I knew, I would tell you. I do not know about these things. Not that I do not want to know. I am on my own journey, in a way. But I think we have disrupted group enough for today. Isn't that right?"
Understood. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Very good. Now, Benjamin.
So weird.
Oh, hell. I thought we were done.
Oh, no.
I thought we done been dismissed.
No.
I thought I saved this.
It was all for naught, Benedict. It was all for naught.
No, not really, because that leads me to believe that this bottle situation is like bigger than a lot of things going on for whatever reason.
Benjamin Potts, are you there?
Yep, uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep.
There.
Benjamin, I have after we talked last time, I am interested to hear what you have heard in recent about your musics. I know that you've been working on a song. When did you first encounter the play, The King in Yellow?
This was about 20 years ago.
And as you kind of just throw that line away, I imagine Benny's just like, yeah, 20 years ago. And you find yourself going on and on about the circumstances of finding the play. And there's a moment where Benji looks down kind of briefly at his hands and then back up. And again, he sees this, you're in what looks like a huge palatial space with this smaller throne holding Dr. Maximo Friend. And he is adorned in brilliant, luxurious opulence. There even seems to be a bit of an aura about him, like almost as if he exudes light in and of himself. And you are down on this plush carpet that leads up to the thrones. And it's a set of several thrones, but there's the one in the middle. And even as you're trying to talk to Dr. Maximo Friend, but your eyes are constantly simultaneously pulled and repelled by the giant throne in the middle. And
is there anything in the giant throne?
It is not. The throne is empty. And you realize that Dr. Friend, he is quizzing you, basically. What did the Phantom say to Casilda? When in the masquerade? When do they unmask? He's quizzing you on the King in Yellow. But his words are in Tartessian, and your words are in Tartessian as well. You no longer have a conversational grasp of the language. It seems to flow naturally from you, and part of you is kind of standing on the outside, acknowledging the strangeness, as the other part of you just accepts it. Just like the part of you has accepted being at the Dorchester facility for 25 years. This continues for quite some time, and but then he stops and he says, "Benjamin, have you seen the yellow sign?" and he swings his scepter up to this grand banner that hangs down over the thrones, that has the yellow sign emblazoned upon it.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Have you heard that the last king has come?
Who's the last king?
That question, I don't like. There's something it does to Dr. Friend. It's like he was expecting something. Like felt like you were on a roll with him, and then here you are, right back in the cotton candy room, and he frowns. Oh, Benjamin. Well, maybe next time. Next time, right?
What?
And he just kind of shakes his head like he's disappointed and just scribbles in his notebook. He says, all right, everyone, I think that was pretty good for today. Does everyone feel good about what we've talked about the progress we've made?
No. You told me you're going to tell me more about that lake.
Benji, it is you from whence I am curious about the lake.
You don't know nothing about it.
Give me a human. Give me a human roll.
Let's see.
What are the other participants, or like Hank and Benedict's experience? Is it the same kind of babbling as that hallucination or something is going through?
Yes, but it doesn't. In a way, it doesn't seem odd. Like it's not enough to. Like it seems like this is part and parcel. This seems normal.
Okay.
It's a failure. It's fucking. Don't you hate a failure on a role-playing conversation?
Make sure.
There's just shit that I don't know.
Make sure y'all check the things.
Yeah, make sure you check your failures.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Trust me, I'm gonna get to 100 persuade before this game is done, or I die, and I'm still gonna fail.
He says to you, he's like, Benjamin, we are all on a journey, and I am just curious. I just want to help you. I am here to unpack your traumas. And,
this
is just a manner in which that's kind of.
Excuse me.
Hank, is this
You're all
something?
right, Hank.
Is this something you would like to say?
Like whacks him on
That's
the
all.
back.
That's
You
all.
want some on the back?
That's all.
Got
Yes.
an emergency.
Yes, we do appreciate these sessions. Now, if it's all right, will we have a chance to roam the grounds? Maybe have some outside time or something of the sort.
Oh, I do not think it is safe to go outside. There was a time. It was before you were here, Hank. I know it's been a while, but there was a time where we did have access to the grounds, but it's not dangerous. It's dangerous outside nowadays. But
What?
but I do think that concludes our group time, and so I think that there is some unstructured time here for everyone to let's all go back to our rooms, or go down to the library, or go to the cafeteria, have a snack, and really think about what we've talked about today. And he gives all three of you a hard look.
I mean, that sounds fine to me. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Anything to get out of this fucking room.
Benji reaches for a set of Desert Eagles that
are not there. The orderlies go over and unlock the door, and everyone kind of files out. As you guys go, you are drafted, let's say, by Deborah Carver.
I wanted to talk to her anyway.
And she kind of has both her hands in her pockets and kind of has her head down, but kind of looks up at you like, I'm following you. Like, wherever we're going, wherever you're going, I'm going too. You think she wants to talk to you?
Maybe we head down to the library? Is that, like, pretty isolated?
There is yes. Well, and of course you know how to get there. Of course, you've been here so long, you know where everything is. Yeah, you know that the library is that you probably need to go down past the men's wing, you know, and that there is a door there that goes upstairs to a small kind of reading nook. It's called a library is probably doing it too much. And yes.
Okay. Maybe we sit down at the nook. Is Deborah still with us?
Yeah. As you guys head that way, there's, you know, it's interesting. You know, part of you definitely thinks, oh, well, this door wasn't here, the stairwell wasn't here before, but it's okay. It's always like this. You know, the stairwells are sometimes in weird places. And you guys make your way up again to this small kind of nook. And most of the books are like almost like picture books and stuff like that. It feels very... It's not very stimulating. And as you get there, you, Deborah Carver, she follows you in. She's like, so, what the hell was that back there, huh?
And Benji says, in Tartesian, how do you know the old tongue?
Ooh. She tells you in English again. She kind of regards you. She's like, I've been speaking that way longer than you, and that's just been a long time. I had no idea that you were...
Benji's eyes widen, and he looks to Benedict and Hank. Vampire.
Naturally. That's the go-to. She's like, yeah, you know, Benji, I had no idea. You've been here all this time, and not once have you spoken like that.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure I have been here all this time. How did you wind up here?
Oh, I've come to the, you know, I had to come to the sanatorium, you know, just for some rest, little drug problem.
You telling us, Deborah,
you don't answer my first question. How do you know how to speak Tartesian?
Well, I learned to speak Tartesian before I spoke English.
Where are you from?
From Carcosa.
Holy shit.
Well, and I like, if you guys have a reaction, she kind of looks around. She's like, "Are you guys fucking with me?" Or maybe she doesn't say fucking with me. She's like, "Are you guys messing with me?"
So you don't, this might sound crazy, Deborah, but you don't have these, like, sensations or memories of, like, a past life? Like, maybe you haven't been here this entire time?
No. That seems to make her uncomfortable.
Did you leave your ID card in maybe a black void, perhaps?
Black void? Jesus, Benedict, no.
Sorry. It's been a long day. I thought I saw some stuff in that room. Did anybody else see some weird... I don't know. Maybe I need a rest. Deborah, did you see some weird things in that room while we were talking to Dr. Friend?
Not besides you guys speaking Tartesian. I just didn't know. You know, it's just nice to hear. It's nice to speak in your own language sometimes, you know.
But you were hesitant to talk to him. What? Why?
Well, he's a...
You must.
Well, you know,
you must see those things.
Well, give me some type of thing. Give me some type of roll, some type of persuade, or some type of human thing. Damn it, Benedict, are you gonna get it done or not?
Human. I'ma get this done. Human success, 58 under 70.
She's hiding something, and you get the sense that she might also be hiding something from Dr. Friend.
What are you hiding, Deborah?
A little sketchy. She's like, well, I just didn't want him to... You know, I'm supposed to be here to get sober, and, you know, I just don't want... You know, and Dr. Friend, you know, as much of a weirdo as he is sometimes, you know, he can kind of tell when I've been using, and I just didn't want to.
What are you on? Are you on the Beatles?
And she kind of like smiles.
Be on the ground up.
She kind of smiles and looks around. She's like, well, yeah. Benedict, I had no
Really?
I had no idea.
Nice.
Well, who should connect?
Have you had any?
Yeah, you're still using the beetles in this facility?
And
I just find them myself. Are you guys in the market? What's going on? That's
Well, it's been so long since we've had some.
Benji's. Obviously, yes.
Yes, I'm in the market. Do you have any beetles? I would like some beetles.
she's okay. I can. I mean,
I'm hip.
I could maybe get you. I could get you some bugs. If that's what you're into.
Yep, let's do it. Let's make a whole night of it. We can get a cup of coffee and speak Tartesian to each other, and then do some beetles.
It's been so long since we've dabbled in the beetles. Could you remind? What is it like these days? I mean, what kind of sensations is it? What's going on with them?
So back in our day, you could eat a whole beetle and just feel pleasant. And now with all these lab-grown beetles, you take one munch and you just lose your damn mind. You know what I mean?
Oh, only the class. Well, I'm kind of partial to. And again, she kind of looks. She kind of looks around. She's like, well, I mean, Melonia is my go-to, but I'll do some bugs. When I get the chance. Like to just eat the bugs. I think that's the best way. Some people snort it, but they're still bugs, for Christ's sakes.
Does Melonia mean anything to us?
No, not specifically. You've never heard the word before.
The way she said it, it sounds like it's a derivative of the beetles, possibly. Or whatever the effect of the beetle is.
Why
does...
Go ahead.
Why does Dr. Friend not... Why is this stuff bad for you?
Oh, it just gets hard to do without it sometimes, and then when you don't have it, it's difficult. I consider myself
kill for a cup of tea.
Do you want to probably make you some Melonia tea? A little lighter, than injecting it, if you want.
Yes.
Just an emphatic yes from Benji. She's like, well, I could listen, guys, how about this first one's on me. How about that?
Joe really wants us to use
that
this,
always
I guess.
turns out great. Let's do it.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I couldn't help but I am all for this Beatles session, Melonia tea situation. Sounds like a good fun. But I didn't notice back at that session, the group session, that what do you know about Mr. Wild? He seemed to also somewhat understood Benji's Cartesian rant.
Oh, I don't know about him. He's a bit of an odd guy. Maybe he knows a little bit of Cartesian too. I didn't know he did. Him and King, they're just like they're thick as thieves. I'm pretty sure King speaks it.
I don't think we've met King.
What do you mean you haven't met King? Bale.
Is that the cat?
King Bale.
King Bale. A patient
Kitty?
here?
Yeah, of course. King Bale. And or it'd be Baal, King Baal.
Bael. Go. Let's head over to Demon Web.
Let's head over to Demon Web 101. Benjamin Potts, what do we have under Baal?
It's definitely some Skyrim
behind door number Baal.
Name.
Let's see what we have.
Oh man.
Let's have Baal for 1,000.
Demon Web
please.
Demon Web's down right now.
Oh, I've got it pulled up. Under Baal, and again, this is something Benji just pulls out of his big ol' occultic-filled head.
Ass.
The first principal spirit is a king ruling in the east, called Baal. He maketh thee go invisible. He ruleth over 66 legions of infernal spirits. He appeareth in diverse shapes, sometimes like a cat, sometimes like a toad, and sometimes like a man. Sometimes all of these forms at once. He speaks hoarsely. This is his character, which used to be worn as a layman before him who call him forth, or else he will do thee no homage.
A cat, you say?
And you guys know that Baal is considered, and Benji would tell you this, Baal is kind of the king of all demons. All of the other demons kind of serve Baal.
Oh, really?
Well, shit, this is the guy that Wild was going to hook us up with. Let's just bypass the middleman and go straight to Baal.
Yeah, how about could you we of course have spoken to Baal before, but do you know where he is at the moment? Could we get an introduction to it with him?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's on the other side of the library, just like always.
Sweet.
That's convenient. We're right here.
Is she gonna laugh? Well, yeah, but you have to get to the other side.
Wait, what do you mean the other side of the library?
I mean, what do you mean? You guys aren't feeling well today. I could see that. Is something up with you?
Yeah, we're high as hell, sister. You're just exploring that space, you know? Hey, would you mind showing us how to get to the other side of the library? Keep this party going.
She's like, all right, but I'm not going myself. I don't have the energy for that shit today.
Could you show us how?
Yeah, of course. So again, like this is more of a nook than it is anything else. And there's this window, and this window is a little larger than the others. But again, still kind of fog, probably raining outside. And there is a shelf that is about as high, it's probably about 6 feet high, about as tall as a person is, and she starts pulling off books. She doesn't pull off books and set them aside nicely. She begins to dig out books. But every time she pulls out a book, there's just another book behind it. And then there's another book behind that one. And she's pulling them out and throwing them to the floor. And at one point in time, she just kind of stopped. She's like, "Are you gonna fucking help?"
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Then she'll start digging out books.
You guys start digging out books, and it seems to go on and on and on until you start digging. It's almost like you're digging a burrow or a tunnel through books that are all scattered. And as you kind of get deeper, the books are no longer perfectly stacked. They're haphazardly piled on each other as you guys, and in a very like Alice in Wonderland kind of style, Deborah just begins to crawl through. And she probably gets about 10 feet in before she kind of pushes through, and you see just on the other side a kind of flickering light that looks like it might be the light of a fire. She crawls through the other side, and is anyone going to go after her?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all of us.
Yeah, without question. This drug dealer has to be good.
Perception check for traps.
There are no traps. You guys... Well, of course there are traps, that's silly. But not that kind. Anyway, you guys... I imagine Benji dives in first, and Benji, you come out the other side, and you're literally coming out of the side of a giant pile of books. And there is a campfire, question mark, of what looks like a pile of books, broken down furniture that's been pulled apart in this kind of alcove of books and bookshelves that are piled haphazardly all around you. And as all three of you come into this zone, come into this space, I imagine maybe Benedict is the last one to come out, as you guys are kind of helping Benedict to his feet, and Deborah's standing here, and she's like, and she just kind of nonchalantly like, the library, guys, the library. And you guys look up probably 100 feet into this massive room with bookshelves rising almost to the ceiling, some of them like standing haphazardly like they might topple over at any moment. They're so tall and so massive, like God, that movie WALL-E, where he piles up the garbage into the shape of skyscrapers. It's like that.
Does this remind us of another library we were in?
Of a bookshop, perhaps?
Yeah, well.
It doesn't not remind you of that, that's for sure. And as you guys are looking up and you see these rails, these kind of slots in the ceiling, and you hear this zzz, like this kind of whipping, like winding sound as you see an unclothed wooden mannequin suspended on strings, bound past the opening of your alcove you're in, turning its wooden head so briefly to regard you, and then zipping and bounding off into the distance on its marionette strings. And that is probably a good place to stop.
Jeez.
Does Deborah react to that in any way before we stop?
No, she's like, okay, well, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. And she crawls back through the tunnel.
Okay, cool.
Hey, what about that cup of coffee sometime?
Oh, I'll find you. And she just...
And the
I'll
drugs.
find you.
I'll find you.
Jeez.
She just crawls through.
Wow.
She's fucking
Rejection
gone.
stings.
All right.
What a trip. What a fucking trip.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Back in the night floors, boys.
Yeah.
We don't know where we are.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll get an opportunity to talk about it. Maybe I don't know if we're gonna have time to do the sanity check, but we're gonna give it a go. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for being
Thank you,
here.
Joe.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and everyone listening, everyone watching, thank you as well. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Come join us on all social medias. They're all linked, especially our Reddit. That's kind of our central hub. If you really like what you're hearing, you want to hear it a week early, you want to just support us. It's only $3 a month for our Patreon at patreon.com/greenboxgaming_. Also linked wherever this is. We'd really appreciate it. And our patrons really help support us, help us with our hosting fees and stuff. It's really awesome, you guys. Anyway.
Plus some exclusive stuff, right?
Oh,
We get
yes.
some exclusive stuff there.
We have our
right?
exclusive stuff.
Recently?
We have our backup character creations. I'm going to make a projection here. I'm gonna make a projection. If we get to the end of this season, this chapter of this book, and we have not killed one of you guys, I'm going to be impressed. I'm going to be really surprised.
Or have gone insane.
Gone insane is also losing a character. So yeah. But we'll see. But yeah, so we have the backup character creations on there. We also have the Sandy check. We just get to kind of talk about what we've little back behind the scenes action. But yeah, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, we really appreciate you joining us. And yeah, we will catch you next time, guys. Once again, thank you very much for being here, for doing this with me today.
It was fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
A pleasure. But yeah, but everyone, thank you for joining us, and remember, stay safe and stay sane. Bye.
Wah. No.